Steve Evans, Alex led the press conference on Tuesday night. Just give us your thoughts on what you saw in the game.
These games are always difficult, aren't they? Because both managers make changes. I think, obviously, you look at what Wickham do, they go very strong, and Matty decided that he wanted to make immediate progress in the competition. And I can understand that because they have no game at the weekend. So they've got some time. So I thought that would be the case. So there was no surprises in how strong the team selection is. And of course, I know people like Brandon Hanlon and Tavazoli really well, so I had an idea where they'd be. But for us, it was about minutes. I think some did really well, some has enhanced their opportunities. And I think there's probably 4 or 5 others that looked as if they needed minutes on the pitch. And they're the proper type of games to get rather than playing a closed-door game at the training ground. So there was benefits to us in terms of the game. I don't think there was anything in the game. I think there's 2 big chances in the game. We missed one with Kane when I think by his own admission should score from really good play by Elliott. And then they got a goal, which Big Foxy's always going to score those type of headers. He's a wonderful player to put crosses in the box to. So I think the final score line would have probably been fair if it had been a draw. I think Matty would accept that, but we lost the game, so we just needed more players to give us more headaches going towards Blackpool on Saturday.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that. You talk about game time. Obviously, you don't have a reserve team. I remember years ago there was always like a Central League up north for reserve teams, football combination down here. So you don't have that sort of stepping stone from under 18 up to the first team, but you don't have the chance for those left out to get time. Is it ever?
Yeah, we create, and in theory, we create our own reserve league, because what we always ensure is that when we have a free week, we have a competitive game on a Monday or a Tuesday midweek for the guys that need minutes. So whether that's an in-house game, the majority of the time it's not. It's an outside game, like to the Wimbledon game recently, like we played Peterborough, QPR, Reading. So there's games taking place, and they're normally played at a real competitive edge. But for them to happen, we need a free midweek, because I play the boys off the bench, or the boys that don't get more than, say, 45 minutes on the Saturday. If we make a couple of substitutions on the 45-minute mark, if it was a couple, all 4 of those players would play on the Tuesday if it was a game on the Tuesday, plus the rest of the bench, plus our better youngsters, are those not included. So up until probably 2 weeks ago, we've been good to get those games in, but then we went back to a couple of midweek games, not only midweek games, midweek busters in terms of travelling. So that makes it even more difficult. So, but from next week, there'll be a game. We'll play a competitive game next Tuesday, and then we can't the following week because we're at Bristol Rovers, but the following week we can. So we've been quite fortunate, but we just needed more top draw performances from 3 or 4 of them that we were looking for. But I think when there's not been a lot of minutes in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I can understand it to a level. They've trained very well today, so we went back to work straight away.
And it's, I guess, you say it's a better environment to play the competitive types of games, but with the utmost of respect to the competition, it's a difficult one for fans even to get up for.
Yeah, I think, listen, I keep using the phrase, but I absolutely love the Bill Shankly phrase that you close the curtains at the bottom of the garden. I think a lot of these games are like that. Supporters do really well to support football. They do, because it doesn't get any cheaper. We understand more at this football club than most of this town how difficult it is to keep finding the money. So we're grateful and thankful to every supporter, both from Stevenage and Wickham, that took the opportunity to come the other night. But it's really tough for them to find it. So the competition itself only really gets exciting when it gets to semi-final and final stage. I can imagine if suddenly you've made lots of changes to get through the competition, and suddenly you've got a chance to go to Wembley in 2 or 3 games time, oh bang, you're full strength, aren't you? Because up above you, God, Phil Wallace, the God, is then telling me that, we could be at Wembley in a couple of games. So I get that. But you want to win every game. You want to win every game that you put your team out. We felt the team was strong enough to win the other night. We still think it was. We think there's fractions in the game, to use old expressions, but we need those small margins to come back in our favour when we're in these type of games.
And as we sort of talked about it after the game on Saturday, it's learning curves, isn't it, for these players as well? They had an opportunity, they might not have hit the heights they were expected to, but next time they'll know they have to.
Yeah, 100%. And we've said, there's always suspensions, there's always injuries, there's always loss of form. You have to be there. If you're not in the team, you have to be at the forefront of my mind, the forefront of the staff's mind. I ultimately pick the team, but we have a collective view on it. So if you're a player, you need to come in and train properly, well, you need to prepare properly, train properly, play in these games properly, play at the top of your game. So if you're a centre-back trying to get into my team, you've got to think, right, well, Pierre Gianni can't play 50 games again this season, neither can Sweeney, neither can Vincourt, neither can Tom. I've got to try and get in. So, and that's the standards. And we've seen the standards that's been set across some departments in the team when you see people like the Thompson brothers, Nathan and Louis, sitting on the bench. They're sitting on the bench because we've identified a different shape for that game. We've identified performances. We've identified who deserves to go in. And both those players have been superb for us. Outstanding. If there's any other, like, I have 10 sets of brothers out there, give me a ring that can play like these two. So from that point of view, it's important that we continue to create competition for places.
You said there was one or two did put their hands up, so does that make the team selection either today or tomorrow a bit tougher for you?
Yeah, I think it does. I think we've got decisions to make on, first and foremost, the shape of the team. We know what we're doing. I'm not going to tell my good friend up at Blackpool, Neil, what we're doing, but we know what we're doing. We'll be working towards that to a degree today. We will continue that tomorrow. We've still got 3 or 4 positions that we're thinking, is it him or him? Depending on the shape, depending on who plays, depending on who looks sharp. Sometimes in training you do a session and you look at somebody particularly sharp, and it makes you go towards the shape that would put them in the team, if that sort of makes sense to us. So from that point of view, we've got competition in some good areas, and we need that to continue, because there's nothing better than a player knowing that if he don't perform, that someone's waiting to take his place, rather than the manager coming in and saying it wasn't really good or having a pop. That's not the way these young men react these days. These young men react by getting taken out of the team. That hurts them more than anything when they got to drive home with a girlfriend or the partners or the wives or the boyfriends, whoever they drive home with. They have to drive home thinking, I'm not in the team. And that's hurting young men today. And
they've got the chance now, obviously, against Blackpool. They've got a cracking. I was looking at their home form today. They've had some great results. You've had some pretty good away results too, so it's going to be a decent.
Yeah, they're a very decent side, aren't they? I think you only had to look at the reaction of my old fitness coach, Paul Warren, when he got a great result. They went up to Blackpool 2 weeks ago and won 3-1. I've never seen one get excited at football many times, but he got really excited about that victory, and so he should, because it's a real tough place to go. First and foremost, the manager. I speak about Neil Critchley in glowing terms, in absolute glowing terms. I got on fantastically well with him. I think I learned from him. I think he'd say he learns from me, and he did in the early days when he first took the initial job the first time round at Blackpool. He called me up and we had some chats. So from that point of view, the playing staff at Blackpool, I think every manager or head coach in the league would take. I'm not saying they would swap them for what they've got, but you would take it. It's a real good group. They've got terrific signings. Does it get better than bringing Jordan Rhodes in the window? I know the Rhodes family particularly well, especially Jordan. And that's just a fantastic signing. Do you have better players in the building than C.G. Hamilton, who had it, of course, at Mansfield, who was a wonderful player, but it's littered with them all the way through the team. But we're going on the team coach with some really good players as well. So we want to make our game competitive. We want to be in the game at Blackpool on 70 minutes. And as I've always said, there'll be better teams in League One than us. There'll certainly not be a fitter team than us in League One. We pride ourselves in that we go to the end, and we'll hopefully be going to the end at Blackpool if we're in the game.
Is that the secret to the away form, this staying in the game like you did at Villa, like you've done it many times?
Yeah, you have to be able to stay in. Every time you go away from home, you almost have to put in your head, it's like a cup tie, winner takes all. So you have to be in it. I can remember, I'm changing sports now, Neil, but I can remember way back in the day when I was a kid, and I was a big Muhammad Ali fan, and I can remember him getting smashed to pieces by Joe Fraser. And then Muhammad Ali win the fight, smashed him up in the last 2 rounds. I think maybe I've even knocked him out or something. Win the fight, and I can remember my family, my daddy's long gone now, but I can remember the conversation the family being afterwards that he absorbed, and then he stopped. And I think that was his say with it, stung like a bee. And so what we've just got to do is stay in the game, and every game we play, whether it's home or away, and rely on the fact that we've got good players, we've got match winners, we've got fit players. We've certainly got the most competitive players anywhere in the league. I wouldn't swap them for anyone. So we're in a good position when we got there, but we understand how tough League One was. At this time last season, Cambridge United I've got many family friends who support Cambridge. They were 5th in League One, and everyone was talking about the Championship. They stayed up on the final day of the season. That's the message I sent to my players. They were 5th in League One this time last year, and they stayed up on the last day. So that shows you what League One can do to you, and it shows you how tough it is. League Two's not going to do that. I could be here 2 days a week. You're not going to get down out of League Two, but we're here 7 days a week trying to compete in League One.
Injury-wise, well, we know we're missing Alex McDonald with suspension. Luther, I'm guessing, is...
Well, Luther would be cleared by protocol to play. We'll assess him tomorrow. We'll see how he is. We've got 1 or 2 other knocks from the other night and from Saturday that they'll keep within the camp. But we'll hopefully have everyone that we want to have everyone out in the grass tomorrow. Anyone who's a doubt when we go out there tomorrow simply won't be in the squad. As I've always said, we've got enough good players in this building that 100% fit player beats an 80, 90% fit player every day of the week for me. Otherwise, we shouldn't have those players in the building. So we got them in the building because we trust everyone to pull on that shirt and be competitive at a real tough away ground. You know, a real tough away ground. I'll get the chance to bring some sticks of rock back for my especially my little granddaughter Mia, whose birthday is, she's 1 year old next Friday. So I'll be able to bring a little early birthday present to wee Mia.